Helen. Helen Clark, former Prime Minister of New Zealand and also former Administrator of the UNDP, the United Nations. So thank you very much for being with us today. And well, maybe as you have witnessed the transition from the MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals Agenda, to the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals Agenda, the 2030 Agenda. Well, not only witness, you are also part of that new paradigm or transition. What can you tell us about that change of paradigm? Which are the main challenges or the main changes from one development agenda to another?
Well, the big change is that the Millennium Development Goals were written for developing countries and things that they should aim to achieve, with developed countries having only the obligation to help partner and support them. The Sustainable Development Goals have been written as a universal agenda. Every country has sustainable development challenges across the economic, the social and the environmental pillars. But there's still a big role in the Sustainable Development Goals for solidarity with the countries which have less means and less capacity to implement.
Some goals of the new agenda of the SDGs are extremely familiar to developed countries, like job creation, inequalities, climate change. So it seems that in some ways different countries from different developing status, let's say, are beginning to be unhappy in a similar way. So does this have to do with global goods agenda or global public goods agenda? Or, I mean, there are shared challenges now. What is the more specific role in the new agenda of developed countries?
Well, on the global public goods and shared challenges, I think the climate change challenge really symbolises what we face together. If we can't get on top of this, then we will never eradicate poverty. Now that's a bold statement, but years ago when I was at UNDP, we had a human development report which tracked trends in inequality with trends in environmental degradation. And actually on the worst case scenario, which didn't look too unlikely, human development was going to slow to a crawl if we could not get on top of environmental degradation. So we all have a part to play on this. And on climate change, the heaviest burden does sit on the shoulders of developed countries who have built up the historic carbon stock in the atmosphere. But that's not to say developing countries don't have an obligation to do something. Most certainly they do. And I think for all of us, it's in our interests that development countries are supporting developing countries on a path to sustainable development that is different from the path that rich countries took to get rich. In other words, a path that's based on renewable energy, sustainable transport, sustainable cities, so that today's developing countries don't end up contributing to the problem the way our countries did when they developed.
Okay, so thank you very much again for being with us.